Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, and I'm back to bring you another episode review from the Loud House European Road Trip arc. So let's get right into it. Today's European road trip episode is Nonna Your Business. In this episode, the Louds travel to Naples, Italy for the world's best pizza made by Gus's pen pal Nonna Viola, and then gather ingredients if they wish to know the secret of the old lady's family recipe. I'll begin by saying this was a really fun family adventure and definitely a step up from A Night to Remember. The story starts off simple enough with the family finding the home of an elderly woman named Nonna who makes them the best pizza they've ever eaten. They take one bite of the pizza and instantly fall in love with it. They felt as if they had just entered heaven when they began fantasizing about living in a world made of pizza ingredients. Quick side note, the whole fantasy sequence reminded me of Lily's ice cream fantasy from Any Given Sunday. Anyway, the Louds want to know how Nonna made her pizza, and she agrees to show everyone how it's made if they gather the ingredients she needs to make it. That's when everything goes completely off the rails as the family goes through a series of crazy and over-the-top situations when trying to gather everything they need. First, they had to gather wheat while fending off a meatball-wielding man who usually guards Nonna's wheat field. Then they had to gather tomatoes growing from the side of a mountain cliff. Next, they had to get milk from a tourist-hating cow, which Lynn Sr. was able to soothe by playing cowbell music while Lana collected the milk. And finally, in order to properly construct the pizza, they had to gather a flat stone from the summit of a volcano. It's during this scene the volcano erupts and they're nearly burned alive by lava and a freaking flaming boulder! The way the family went about gathering the ingredients and avoiding the many painful and death-defying encounters all for the sake of pizza was just insane. I mean, they risked bodily injury and their lives all in the name of authentic Italian food. It was stupid, ridiculous, and it was absolutely hilarious. This would be a good time for me to acknowledge Lynn as the biggest standout character of the episode. Her role was very polarizing because there were moments in which she came off as heroic, but she also came off as a major setback to her family's efforts in gathering the pizza ingredients. While the family was being attacked by Nonna's friend, Lynn jumped in front of them to eat the meatballs and cannolis he was throwing while everyone else was collecting the wheat. Gotta love it when a character takes metaphorical bullets for someone, and those were some very tasty bullets too. She also had no fear when jumping from one stone to another when she and her family had to escape the rushing lava. However, when she got super excited about catching the tomatoes her dad tossed in her direction, she ended up smashing them as if she were spiking a football. So that meant her dad had to risk his life again to get even more tomatoes. Then, while everyone was celebrating after retrieving the stone from the volcano, not to mention avoiding being engulfed in lava, Lynn bumped into Lincoln and caused him to break the stone. Seeing how the lava destroyed the bridge and the surrounding area leading up to the volcano, there was no way for them to get another stone. So yeah, Lynn was able to pull her family out of a tight spot in one scenario, but ended up becoming a detriment in the long run. She not only made her family's job take longer than expected, but made completing the entire job a failure. To that end, the Louds had to tell Nonna they couldn't retrieve the last item on her list, and that's when the shocking revelation happened. But before I talk about that, I have to talk about Nonna Viola. I've talked to a few fans who said they thought she came off as very antagonistic for putting the family through all that stress to get the things she needed for the pizza. She admits to already owning a flat stone, and then she reveals she never intended to give them the recipe anyway. She thought the Louds would have gone home because she assumed they would never want to risk scaling a potentially active volcano. While I do agree with some fans who think she was being antagonistic, I also have to disagree. Nonna says her family had been safeguarding their precious recipe for centuries, and let's be honest, the Louds are not her family. They should have been appreciative enough just to be given the chance to eat the best pizza in the world and nothing more than that. To accurately quote the title of the episode, wanting to know the recipe was really none of their business in the first place. They were not entitled to it by any means. If anything, they had to prove to Nonna they wanted to know the secret recipe and therefore had to earn the right to know. If I were to guess, Nonna probably has anyone and everyone who wishes to know the secret go through the same process of gathering ingredients, with the biggest challenge being the volcano. Sorta like a series of tests to prove how committed someone is in wanting to know the answers they seek. I can only assume most people can never finish their quest and simply give up, thus keeping Nonna's secret recipe within the family where it rightfully belongs. All of that does sound cruel on the surface, but like I said, it's Nonna's recipe and she reserves the right to keep it to herself. However, she decided to break her rule about disclosing her recipe just this once because the Louds proved how far they were willing to go for it. Again, the Louds were not entitled to know the recipe for Nonna's pizza. They had to earn their reward, hard, and given everything they had to endure, they definitely earned it by the end. Overall, this episode was a lot of fun and a great second installment to the European road trip arc. The Louds went through metaphorical hell just to get their hands on the best pizza in the world. Through typical cartoon craziness, they accomplished their goal and proved their worth to Nonna, thus being allowed to know her secret family recipe. Their task for gathering the ingredients were hilariously wacky, the action sequences were pretty intense, and the revelation/payoff at the end was well earned. Some of the top highlights included Lynn's participation in the family's mission, for better or worse, the Pizza Heaven fantasy, and of course Lenny speaking fluent Italian. Apparently, tasting the pizza was so stimulating that her brain got rewired and she didn't speak a word of English for the entire episode. I don't know if Liliana Mummy knows how to speak Italian in real life, but she did an incredible job here. I'll end this review by pointing out two eyebrow-raising moments. First, I don't know what kind of sauce Gus uses, but it must be pretty damn strong to not only be used for writing letters, but can also last a very long time until it slides off the paper. Cartoon logic at its finest. And finally, while it's true it originated from Naples, Italy, modern pizza wasn't invented until somewhere between the 16th and 19th centuries, making Nonna's claim about her pizza being eaten by Julius Caesar historically inaccurate. Yeah, I know it has nothing to do with the story, but with me being a man who loves history, it's little things like this I just can't ignore. So to wrap things up, this was a great episode with plenty of comedy and action, and it leaves you hungry for more adventures with the Louds as they continue their journey across Europe. Oh, and hungry for pizza. Lots and lots of pizza. With that said, I give Nonna Your Business an 8.5 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Nonna Your Business. So I gotta ask, what did you guys think of this episode? Sound off in the comments below, and be sure to click that subscribe button for more Loud House related content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.